listening to. I say you are listening to. You are absolutely listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
It's Friday night at the Funny Farm. Wow. For you that have not read our radio show page news, if you listen to Wednesday night's show, somewhere about 28 minutes and so many odd seconds, all of a sudden we left you. I mean, in a heartbeat, like we were gone. Just as we was really getting into this UFO stuff with Mr. Bob Schroeder, the lights went out. I mean, they went out around here. We had a major blackout, and there were several thousand people without power, and that's where we went. So if you have tuned in to listen to the show, and all of a sudden, 28 minutes and some odd seconds into the show, we are gone. That's where we went. And last night I had no power. So here we are tonight. We are back on track. Now I'm going to hold my breath tonight because I'm telling you what you are going to hear is not fiction. Listen to me. What you are going to hear is not fiction. But before we bring our guest on, email me, georgece@comcast.net, georgece@comcast.net. Send those emails. We reply to each and every one of them, and I thank you for all of the emails. We are getting more and more emails all the time. We answer them, and thank you for those that will send emails. We will reply to those also. Now, I'm holding my breath because when the power went out, she went out with a boom on Wednesday night. It was the kaboom, baby. I mean, out, gone, noise and all. I don't know if it was the aliens that blew us out, or it took a hit from a UFO because we were really getting into it. I don't know. But tonight, in just a moment, we're going to bring a man on by the name of A.J. Ensor. And he has written a book, let me get it right here, The Human Quantum Leap. The human quantum leap. I'm just holding my breath because I don't know what's going to happen here. Hold on here a second. I'm still with you. I didn't leave you. Okay. Now, the human quantum leap. Confessions, listen to this. Confessions of a former intelligence operative. The Human Quantum Leap, Confessions of a Former Intelligence Operative. We are most definitely not alone in the universe. Okay. I got you, AJ.
Oh, okay. We got disconnected there somehow.
Well, here we go. Anyhow, I have just told the audience that Mr. AJ, how do I say it? Ensor is here with us. And he wrote the book, The Human Quantum Leap, Confessions of a Former Intelligence Operative. And if you want to go to his website, go to Return of the Dark Side. That's returnofthedarkside.com. What will they find there, AJ?
just my books. ReturnOfTheDarkSide.com is a fiction that I wrote. It's a competitor for Harry Potter, American competitor for Harry Potter, and I just keep everything on a single website because I don't really have the time to manage multiple websites. So if you go there and you scroll down, you'll find a connection for the Human Quantum Leap. And you click on that, and it goes to the digital version. And then on the digital version page, you'll see on the right side, buy the book in print. So if you prefer it in print, you can just go there and order it in print. Otherwise, for the price of lunch at McDonald's, you can download the digital version.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Write that down. We'll bring it up to you again throughout the show tonight, and go there and get this book. AJ, I understand that this is not fiction. Is that correct?
No, it is not. No, this is. I started life in media as a broadcast journalist, and I've written 2 nonfictions. The first one being the Bird Flu Survival Handbook, and this one, The Human Quantum Leap, is my second nonfiction. And Return of the Dark Side is my only nonfiction.
Give us
fiction.
Give us a little bit of your background. You were in radio and television.
Radio, I only did in college at university, but I was one of the founders of the broadcast group at Southern Illinois University, the newsroom there anyway. And so I started there, and I went from there to Hollywood for a couple of years. I wasn't sure what kind of media I was going to get involved with, but the university maintained facilities in L.A., so I went and stayed at those facilities for a few years. But then I was hired on by PBS Illinois and then ABC New York, and eventually I wound up at CBS in Virginia, where I started my own partnership with 6 other fellows, and I moved out of broadcasting into TV commercial production.
That sounds interesting.
I've made a lot of commercials.
This book that you've written, I have read the preview, and it just literally blew me away. Now, when we discuss this, you just have your own free will, because when it comes to stuff like this, I'm very intrigued. But this one here, I'm about 5 steps below a rookie. Wow.
Well,
that's the only thing I can say is wow.
I'm not really a member of the so-called UFO community or the UFO culture. I just had a close friend in the Marine Corps with me, and he went off into military intelligence. I would say I was the second Reagan administration where his unit was disbanded. It was just not that type of thing just wasn't needed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was reassigned. And long story short, he just wound up as a bodyguard for an extraterrestrial, or so he said. Mm. I take these things very lightly, but he kept talking about it, usually in a state of inebriation, whether I asked him or not. And so I finally decided that, all right, let's go on the assumption he's not full of it. Let's ask a few questions. Now, I've never been particularly interested in government conspiracy, so I could care less if the government's keeping something secret. Mm-hmm. When somebody is bothered by this, I just go, duh, WikiLeaks. You know, they counted like 300,000 official secrets in that release. So, does the government keep secrets? Yes. Do I care? Not really. But what I did want to know was things like, well, if we really do have extraterrestrial here, how did he get here? What was his mode of transportation? What was the true nature of the universe? These are the questions that I wanted answered. I could care less about government conspiracies. And if he's here, well, why is he here? What's he doing here? Okay, and why don't we hear more about him? These are the kinds of things that I wanted to know. And over a period of about 16 years, I got a lot of my questions answered. So basically, the human quantum leap is about my friend Josh.
Now, you and him were in boot camp at Paris Island together, right?
Yes, we were, amongst the sand fleas.
The lovely sand fleas, yes. Oh, my.
There's two things you don't forget about Paris Island: the drill instructor and the sand fleas.
Yeah. They're in fact, they're government issued. They belong to the government.
Right. Well, I won't go into details as to what body parts they prefer on you.
So, you had never, up until that time, you have never met this man before in your life until you were at Paris Island.
Right.
And
It was very obvious from the moment I met. His full name's Joshua. I call him Josh.
Mm-hmm.
It was, from the moment I met, he was very obviously different. And I don't know, he was recruited out of high school. They went looking. They look for people like Josh, the intelligence community. And you even have a liaison that shows up even when you're in boot camp, and he stuck out. He was always willing to prove himself. He was always at the head of the line, and he was always the most gung ho, and he just wore me out.
But yet he was very quiet. Did I get that right?
Yeah, he didn't talk a lot about anything originally. What got him talking to me was one day I became curious. As I forget the reason why, to be honest with you. I became the test that they give you on going into the military. The ASRAP is what it used to be called, I think. I think it was one of my bunkmates that mentioned that he had scored 50 on the ASRAP. He scored 50, and we were talking about what was his MOS going to be, yada, yada, whatever, what kind of contract he got on the way in. And so I thought to myself, 50? I scored in the 90s. So I started asking around. I went through like a couple of dozen recruits. Nobody had scored in the 80s, and white or black.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally was sitting in the chow hall, and by chance Josh sat down next to me. I always knew him as the guy at the head of the line, and the guy who wanted to go first, and the most quiet guy in the series. And so he sat down, so we got into a very short conversation about nothing at all, and then somewhere along the line, I asked him what his score was, and he said 97. Whoa, 97. That means that you outscored 97% of all the people who had taken the same test in the last 10 years.
Mm.
And mine was like 93 point something, and I was kind of proud of myself after finding out that everyone else had scored over 80. So Josh and I when I told him my score, Josh was impressed, and we became friends from that moment forward, and the rest is history.
Was he, would he be considered a genius?
Well, technically, yes, I guess. He had an unusual memory. he was the only person I ever know who actually prepared to go to Paris Island by going into, I guess he lived near a university, and he prepared, he went in and read everything he could find about Marine Corps basic training. When I showed up, I was like, duh. Hello, here I am.
What a shock, huh?
Yeah. And so, but not him. He was all ready for it. He had read everything there was to read on it, and he was ready to kick ass and take names, and I was just, duh. So was everyone else, duh. But like I said, Josh knew it all, and he was ready. He didn't forget nothing.
Could you tell us what is a quantum leap?
A quantum leap?
Yes.
Well, in a quantum leap in science is a dramatic, unexpected jump. It can be applied as a connotation to many different situations. But in human evolution, if you apply it there, you see that evolution, if you look at the tree of human evolution, there have been jumps, unexplained jumps. And and that's how you wind up with us, the Homo sapien sapien race. And but as you go through the book, it refers to a process whereby one race of people joins the larger race out there in the universe, to which we know absolutely nothing. And I coined the phrase the human quantum leap to describe this process of becoming, for lack of a better term, one with the universe. How do we get to be where the aliens are, or the extraterrestrials, whatever your favorite word is?
When was you chosen for intelligence work also?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Were you chosen, was your MOS intelligence also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a
Did you ever work with Joss and his group at all?
Nah.
Okay.
No. I was on the track to be an analyst.
When
before the training and I hurt my back.
After you guys left boot camp, you probably went to Camp Geiger for your ITF and all that good stuff. But did you hook up? I mean, how did you stay in touch with Josh? Did you separate some point?
Eventually, I and the Marine Corps went our separate ways, but Josh did not. And Josh was eventually posted in and about the Virginia area. I call it the Holy Marine Corps Triangle. It goes from Quantico to the Pentagon, and I'm trying to think of the name of CIA headquarters, but I can't think of it. And that makes up the Marine Corps Intelligence Triangle right there. And Josh, when he was around, was inside that triangle. And I lived in Jersey, and it was a 2.5-hour drive. And when he got Liberty, I'd go down to Washington, D.C. And this was when we were still in our 20s, and we would drink alcohol and chase women. So that's pretty much how we stayed in touch. There wasn't any internet.
No internet. When did you realize, or when did it dawn on you, or when did you get this inkling or feeling that Josh was involved in whatever this is?
Well, whatever it was weighing on Josh. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and he had nobody to talk to, and he knew I had gotten my security clearance, and Josh never really had any close friends. He was very good at keeping people at arm's length. He was extremely good at keeping his mouth shut. I mean, it was just his nature. I'm not even sure that he did it systemically. It was just the type of person he was. Josh was also, in my opinion, a sociopath, maybe psychopathic, and that he was a cold stone killer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what about his personality that the intelligence community, along with his IQ, found very appealing. Now, he wasn't someone who went out and committed murder.
Right,
right. But when you provoke Josh, instead of his heartbeat getting faster, his heartbeat got slower.
Mm-hmm.
And so he never got tense about anything. And he was called upon many times to use deadly force. He never hesitated. And it didn't bother him doing that. But this bodyguarding with this unusual individual, this weighed more upon him than when the Marine Corps sent him out to kill. It bothered him more than anything else he had ever done before. And I guess because it was so real to him. And it kind of disrupted his understanding of his own universe, not just ours.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it weighed on him, and when he drank with me, it came out. He just didn't have anybody to tell it to or talk to about it.
That would have to be a tremendous burden to carry.
Right. But again, at first, I just, I didn't believe him. But then I asked him, well, how did they get here? And over a period of about, 6 months, some very specific scientific details started coming out. And when he kind of started talking scientifically, something that he never did, because he was no scientist, and neither am I, that really got my attention. Okay? And so he explained space travel to me. And I went, well, I've never heard that before. So tell me more. And so we started questioning over a period of years. Okay, the topic of John would come up, and that's what he called this guy, John.
John's the terrestrial guy, the extraterrestrial guy. Okay.
Right. And so I said, well, okay, what do you want to know? And that's basically the way I proceed now, even to today. When UFOers come up and say, well, the government's keeping this secret, the government's keeping that secret, and I just look at it and say, what do you want to know? If I got an answer, I'll give it to you.
Josh was a bodyguard to John.
Yeah.
So if Josh and Josh was in the Marine Corps during his whole time,
right? So
he was ordered to be a bodyguard to John. So therefore, the government knew about John. Am I right?
Look, if you know how intelligence operations are run, using using the word government knows is a misnomer, because an intelligence operation, an ongoing intelligence operation, gets a charter, and which is a set of general orders that it's supposed to follow or keep to. And this charter has a function within the intelligence community. And when an exception to the general orders occur, that's when the facts start climbing the chain of command, and not before. And so if you set up a charter, let's say Eisenhower set up a charter, President Eisenhower set up a charter, so long as no exception to the protocols have been made, then there's no reason why it would start going up the chain of command.
Right.
So when we say the government knows, in the case of black-on-black operations, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing unless the right hand needs some help. And so, is there a group of individuals that know about John? Yeah, because they're still getting funding for whatever it is they're doing. But does the government know? Does the President of the United States know? Only when there's an exception to the protocols would it climb the chain of command to the President of the United States. So I don't know what the government knows.
How long?
Yeah, go ahead.
How long was Josh a bodyguard to John?
Josh, after his unit was disbanded, got stuck with this nutcase admiral who had his own. He had an F-14B, and he took all the hard points and put gas tanks on them, and maxed it out on fuel, and he flew this thing everywhere at the speed of sound, apparently. And Josh got stuck at his Rio, and so he wanted out really bad. he wanted out really bad. And one of the things that Josh used to have to go and do, besides as his bodyguard stuff, was he would escort people in the high security area. They would come up with a reason for why they had to be there. They would get called a security warrant, and somebody like Josh would show up and escort them into these areas. And so, what did Josh do? Well, Josh had a set of code operations, and what he did is he opened doors. Doors would open up to his security protocols, doors he had never gone near before. And he would just show up, and his security codes would open up the doors. These people would be escorted in and out of areas to do only God knows what. And one day, and the weird thing about it is that, and this is what always bothered Josh the most, he would often show up on Air Force bases to do this. And it bothered him because the Air Force has got their own security people. Okay? And so why is he getting stuck doing this on Air Force bases? And and his codes worked on Air Force bases, and he didn't like it. Okay? So one day he shows up on this one Air Force base to serve this warrant, security warrant. And the guy is a little on the creepy side. And they wind up going up to this bunker in the middle of nowhere. And he said he went through some very, very serious security. And what he meant by that is the type of security that if you violated the protocols, the damn thing would blow up in your face. And So he went through this heavy security, and he went inside this bunker, and it very quickly became apparent to him that he was in a morgue.
Mm.
So he's in a morgue with a set of security protocols that would blow you up if you missed just one digit. And so he follows this guy, and they open up the morgue, one of the chambers, and out slides a body. And it wasn't human what came out.
Mm.
And Josh just kept his mouth shut, which is what he's good at. And I said to him when he was telling me this, I said, well, was it an alien? And he wouldn't use that word. He would never use. You just could not bring him to use the word alien or extraterrestrial, no matter what. He just wouldn't use the word. And but at that time, he shook his head yes. And he was turning white when he was telling me this stuff. He was having an emotional reaction to it. So it was clear he wasn't lying to me. It was clear that he was extremely bothered by it. And so, I started taking him seriously. But then this crazy animal guy, he flies him out to do one of these, not escorts, but he wanted to open up a door on a base in the middle of a desert, in the middle of nowhere, an air base, another Air Force base. And when he arrived there, now there was a whole group of dignitaries, high-ranking brass, and this time he was being asked or told to open up a hangar door. And it's just, here he is on apparently a secret Air Force base in the middle of nowhere, and he's opening up the damn door. And, he never understood why he kept getting stuck with this.
Uh-huh.
And so this time, he opens up a hangar door. And he had to be impressed because this thing had to be 100 feet high and 400 feet wide. And on his command, it started opening up. And there were already people going in and out of a door on the side of it. So there were people there who could push buttons and open up the damn door. Why was he doing? So it opens up, and out comes this skeleton of an aircraft. And what I mean by skeleton, it was just a frame with engines mounted in it, and the damn thing didn't make a sound. It just floated there. It floated right out.
Mm.
And it went through a set of maneuvers. He said you just got to see it to believe it, because he couldn't believe it was moving the way it was moving. It was totally silent. And he was watching this thing all go through, and this very tall, creepy-looking, lanky guy just came up alongside of him, and he asked him, "It's very impressive, isn't it?" In a creepy voice. And that was John. And that's when the admiral that he had been going around with explained to him that he was being assigned to John, to watch John, to help John, to be one with John.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got me standing up. I mean, I went from the edge to the edge of the seat. You got me standing up. So that was the first time that he had was introduced to John.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet John?
Unfortunately, yes. In 2000, Josh was dying, and I was going back and forth to visit him in his house in Florida, which is where he was from originally. And I usually let him know when I was coming and going. Not always, but I usually let him know. when I was going. And I came up on the house one time, and outside were parked 3 black Suburbans. And I pulled in. I was thinking, "Oh God, I hope he didn't, die on me." And I didn't hear about it. And this is how I'm going to find out my friend is dead. And yada yada yada. And I was kind of a little upset going in, but I went in, and there were the government agent types standing there. They were just nodding their head toward me and stuff like that. And I walked back. Josh had basically made the patio into his bedroom, and I walked out there, and there he was. I was a little more than just a little scared because nobody there had a clue how much I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew who I was, and by the descriptions, as soon as I walked out onto that porch, there was this tall, leathery skinned, creepy dude, bald, creepy dude, and I knew in an instant that had to be John. And Josh, he was laying in his bed there, and he saw me. He said, "Oh, this is my friend Andrew." Andrew, this is a guy I work with. His name is John.
The guy I work with, huh?
One of my associates. And I shook the man's hand, which was cold and creepy.
I was going to ask you, was it a warm handshake?
No, it was cold and creepy, and basically I was doing everything I could think of in the moment, trying to concentrate not to foul my short.
Mm-hmm.
And they were on their way out, which was okay with me because I could just barely stand up. and they left. And I went from sitting on the couch to laying on the couch to laying on the floor with my feet up on the couch. And Josh is on his deathbed asking if he can help me. Those fellas have no idea who I am, right? And he said, no, not a clue. You got nothing to worry about. Okay, good. It's good. So, yeah, I met John, and I never want to meet John again.
John, that is a true friend. He's on his deathbed, and he wants to help you out. I mean, they don't come no better than that, right?
No.
So that's the only time you met John, huh?
Praise the Lord. You just don't react to extraterrestrials the way you think you might.
Yeah. Did Josh wasn't? I mean, he was still a young man when he passed away, wasn't he?
Yeah, Josh had gotten into a lot of firefights back in the early '80s.
Mm-hmm.
He had been injured more than one time. He'd been given the Purple Heart by the intelligence community several times, and back then they didn't have any way to scan the blood for AIDS.
Mm.
And but Josh had red hair and blue eyes, and like many people who do, they had a resistance to AIDS. Josh had a resistance to AIDS, and so he went on for almost 2 decades with AIDS. But eventually it got him. It actually got him like 10 days after September 11th.
Wow. Did he ever, or did you ever ask Josh, or did he ever tell you, where did John come from?
Yeah, well, you see, that's a problem, okay? Anytime you start talking about your home, you only have native language to go by.
Right.
And there's no common ground, okay? So when it was easier to talk about how you went about doing things than to talk about anything personal, because there's his language, the frequencies he spoke at, apparently in our world, only an elephant can hear. So unless you're an elephant, if John was to speak of his world, he'd have to do it in his native language, and there's no common ground. There's no word for it in English.
Right.
So that was the problem. That's the problem. Okay. And but the other stuff having to do with science that could be explained in English language, that he had no problem with.
We're not alone.
We're not even close.
We're definitely not alone.
We're not even close to being alone.
When I was out this afternoon, I was thinking about all these doodads and whatnots we got all over the planet, and all the people that's sitting by these radio trying to get a signal of somebody saying hello to us.
Yeah, they're wasting their time.
Are they really?
Oh yes, they're wasting their time and they're wasting their money. You see, that's part of it. You see, John shared with Josh, and Josh shared with me their means of communication, how they do it. They use gravity. And the electromagnetic spectrum as a means of communication is something that, depending on the society, only lasts between 50 and 150 years.
Mm-hmm.
As you move toward what I call the human quantum leap, or any society's quantum leap, one of the first things you start learning about is the true nature of gravity and how it works. And also computers. The first contact protocol, apparently, for John and people like John is twofold. First, you have to be a society using subatomic structure as a tool. Okay, so in other words, you have the science that uses subatomic structure as a tool. And the next thing has to be random, highly advanced computer technology. And that's why first contact was made with the American government and not other governments, because our highly advanced computer technology, or rapid, let me correct that, rapidly advancing computer technology,
mm-hmm.
along, unfortunately, with our use of the atom, which, we use it to generate power or blow people up. Pick your choice. The point is that it's subatomic structure being used as a tool. And, they came together here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to choose a human organization to make first contact with, that's their protocol. And so it's those two things coming together that will eventually move us toward using gravity, among other things, as a means of communication.
So these, do I call them people? I guess, for lack of a better term, these people are far more advanced scientifically in other ways than we are?
Well, that's the problem, you see. That's why, first, the contact doesn't become any wider. In their eyes, we're not just primitive, we are primitive and dangerous.
Uh,
They are as far above us as we are among the chimpanzees that live in jungles.
uh-huh.
They don't think of us in that context, okay? But they're so far above us that they don't really have a good reason to talk to us. We're not very significant, and their experiences shown that contact with primitive societies is extremely dangerous.
Mm.
So they don't do it. And the only reason Josh is here is because in our society he would be considered an anthropologist. He has a scientific discipline that brings him here. But the other societies, they just come and go because they don't come here because of us. They don't show up. You don't see UFOs because they're interested in human beings. They don't care. We're just not along far enough on the evolutionary scale for them to pay attention to us. So they don't.
That's pretty smart in and of itself. That don't pay attention to us humans because we are a mess.
Right. We're from their point of view, we're just very dangerous. Okay. And if you see a UFO, it's almost always an accident. And if you see one at ground level, it's almost always a probe. It's not a ship. But the general rule is the bigger the ship, the more primitive they are. When you first go out in spaceships, you're sending an expedition basically. But as you become more advanced, the ships become smaller, and they're 1, 2, 3 or 4 person craft that are able to do what the bigger ships do, because it's a more advanced society.
Any idea how many of those societies are out there?
In the Milky Way, there. Oops, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I heard a click. In the Milky Way, there have been a total of 7, according to John.
Uh-huh.
But there are actually in the greater universe there are hundreds.
Mm.
And one of the more important races, and when I say 7, I mean in the evolution of the Milky Way, not currently.
Uh-huh.
And apparently one of those races has already gone extinct. But it was a radically important race. And one of the reasons you see spacecraft coming here is because that race is almost certainly responsible for the existence of our solar system.
Mm-hmm.
You see, when you become a spacefaring race, one of the things that you need is what's called stellar core fragment material. And basically this is material from a dead star. And you need that material, at maybe 1 part per million in your engines for your spacecraft, because that's what makes space travel possible.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things you do, basically, when you become a spacefaring race is you try to form planets like your own, because there aren't any.
Uh-huh.
The reason John is the way he is in our environment is because of biological engineering. Basically, he wears his spacesuit and he looks like a human. And there's no way for him to naturally exist in our environment because his world is like a fingerprint, like our world is. There is no other place like Earth. Okay, there's no way to travel to another world and survive there because the gravity is always going to be a little different.
Right.
The atmosphere is always going to be a little different, and it's always going to be different enough that you're not going to be able to survive there in a T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you become a spacefaring race, one of the first things you do is you go out and you try to terraform, so that when your system eventually dies, you'll have someplace to go. And this first race that went extinct, for lack of a better word, I used the word ancient ones. I know I shouldn't use that because it's used in fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But this ancient race went around doing it all the time, apparently, inside the Milky Way. And that's why other races come here to check it out. That's why they come. They don't come because of us. They come because this system is an example of what they want to do.
So,
and that's what UFOers never knew and don't understand.
does
UFO, I go out and I sign books for various reasons, and these people show up at my book events, and sometimes they're kind of scary, because all they want to do is point fingers, and the government did this, the government did that. They don't really seem interested in why.
Yeah, forget the government.
Forget the government.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just chunk them. I mean, you don't even got to mention them. It's the real deal that's going on. That's the important stuff, right?
Right, and government agents stand in front of John with their hat off. It's hat in hand. I mean, John makes the rules.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. government doesn't in a situation like this. Intelligence agencies don't. They just, whatever equipment they can get their hands on that they can study, they may grab that and study it and keep it a secret and stuff like that. But when it comes to something like Josh, I mean, you just do all the listening. He does all the telling.
Uh-huh.
And he has no malevolent intent whatsoever. I mean, we're the ones that think like that. We're the primitive race. They don't. No one's ever going to come and take over the Earth because there's no way they can survive here.
So, are the like John? Is John still here?
I don't really know the answer to that question, but I think yes.
Mm-hmm. And what's his main purpose? Just to check out our technology, or?
No, John's main purpose in being here was, as it was explained to me, John's race became a spacefaring race over 800,000 years ago. So he's like, his spacefaring capabilities is like almost 10 times older than the human race itself.
Mm-hmm.
And as advanced as their technology was 800,000 years ago, they don't have a lot of records of what went on or how it developed in their own race. So they sit here and watch us go through it. And that helps them understand themselves, how they came to be, who they are, by looking at us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what John does here. He just sits here and watches us. That's all. He tells people, I guess he tells the other races what's going on, how we're developing, and that's the limit of their interest, that once upon a time they were like us, and they don't really have good records. as to what happened, what the transition was, what their quantum leap was like. So they study our process of going through our quantum leap, and that's how they understand their own.
So they're kind of like looking for themselves.
Right. They see them. They see their earlier selves in us.
In us.
In us. Also, they're curious as how much of the ancient gene is in us. We are a rapidly advancing race, and we are unusual in that context.
Uh-huh.
And so they think that we might have some of the ancient gene.
Is there more Johns here?
Yeah. There. At one time, Josh said there was 3 of them. But you got to understand that these races, they know who each other are. They know, Josh knows who they are. They know who Josh is. But they all come from very different places. The only way they can meet on common ground is if they send scientists to do what John is doing.
Uh-huh.
And so while John's been communicating with these other races for an indefinite period of time, and he knows all about them, and they know all about him, meeting only occurs on common ground. So you have to have your genetically engineered biosuit to live on Earth, and you sit around and have a beer, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they meet. Otherwise, they don't meet. I mean,
Right.
They may track each other's spacecraft. They may watch what each other is doing. They may share information with one another, but they don't meet because they're just so different.
Do they make war on each other, or have they made war?
No.
No.
Once you get to that level of technology, war is meaningless. Once you get to the quantum leap level, as we're moving toward,
mm-hmm.
War becomes irrelevant. War is part of it's tribal warfare. It's what we do.
Right.
I put this in the book. One of the stories that Josh told me about John, and we have borders. Okay, they don't get that at all. Our borders. They don't see any difference of human beings on one side of the border and the other side of the border.
Uh-huh.
And from their point of view, and this is actually the one few times I laughed, a border is no different than lions going out and peeing on the bushes.
Okay.
Okay. This is one of the reasons we're so primitive in their eyes. Okay,
Uh-huh.
we have borders. Okay, that's the tribal thing. Okay, that's a territorial thing. That's the lions going out and peeing on the bushes.
Uh-huh.
That's one of the reasons we're so primitive, and they don't want to go near us.
Because we're still peeing on the bushes.
Right, you're still peeing on the bushes. And so, interesting enough, that made their point of view very real to me. I finally understood why they don't make why their first contact doesn't expand to the rest of us all, and so that was good.
That does light things up, AJ.
It explains it.
Yeah.
It explains it. So that's it. It's explained.
I have this written down, peeing on the bushes. I mean that's like somebody just flipped the light switch on, and this
Right.
bright light lit up in my head, which don't happen too often. But yeah, that about says it all. Wow.
Yeah. One of the things about the human quantum leap will be that we will no longer have a need to go out and pee on the bushes.
Man, that is so cool. That is so cool. I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to get AJ's book. I mean, Let me read some of these chapters to you. Let me get back up here again. Man, I never wanted to be a punchy stick champion. The end of my Marine Corps career, I still don't know who the Indian was. Did anyone notice where I parked my tank? Fear can keep you alive. Not all of Josh's stories were creepy. Revelation, the Book of John, and then second edition. You really need, ladies and gentlemen, you really need to get AJ's book.
You should tell him what a pugil stick is.
Oh yeah, you were a champion.
First of all, making sure we haven't discussed this at all.
Right.
Right. So you tell them what a pugil stick is.
Well, when we went into the Marine Corps, you'd have this. How can I describe it? We'd have this. Let's use a broomstick as an example, with these doodads on the end. What do we want to call them?
Two pads on the end of a
bat. Pads on the end.
A really long bat, heavy pad.
Yeah, and you
go beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, you knock the crap out of each other. On one hand, it's fun. On the other hand, it's not so fun.
Because you're turning out. It's part of the training for combat.
Yeah. You have to get involved in it. You have to get involved in it to understand what I'm saying when I say it's fun, but it's not so fun. Now, if you're the guy that's getting the best of the other guy, then it's fun. But if you're the other guy that's not faring so well, it's not so fun. But the whole point is to get you ready for up close combat, bayonet type stuff, and you use the butt of your rifle and so on and so forth. But you were a champion, huh?
Yeah, I won. But I'm not going to tell you how that turned out because it's a funny story in the book.
That would be worth it itself to get the book.
Yeah, the book is basically several of Josh's how we met in Marine Corps boot camp, and so that's where the pugil stick fighting comes in. But then it's several of Josh's creepy stories, and man, he had some creepy stories.
I'll bet he does.
And then the last two chapters are about John, and the last chapter itself is basically John's revelations. That's why I call it the book according to. Originally I called it the book according to John, but that was a little too religious, so I just changed it to the book of John. So, and so that's.
And
the last chapter is just John's revelations, and boy, does he do some revealing.
How many pages are in it?
160.
Ooh, that's just the right size for a good read.
Right.
Where you get down, and when you get up, you take the book with you, and you're still reading, and you bounce off the kitchen chairs, but you can't just get your face out of the book. I like that.
Well, when I was first writing the book, I was in and around Richmond, Virginia at the time, and there's a lot of universities in Richmond, and so I let a few scientists who worked out at the same club I did go through it, and they thought I was full of it until they started reading the last chapter, and when they realized that the last chapter was true, that meant the rest of the book was too, and that kind of creeped them out.
Do you?
Because as you read Josh's stories, I mean, they're more than just a little hard to believe. But after you read the last chapter, and you go, "Oh my God, it's true!" And I had several times come in. People tell me I had to read that last chapter 5, 6, 7, or 8 times, and when I realized it was true, I started to get creeped out.
This is heavy stuff, AJ. I mean, Oh, I mean, but it's rich. It is rich. Uh,
Yeah.
wow.
Also, while I'm thinking about this,
Uh huh.
to your audience, if you do come to you find me at one of my book events. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I I am not Jesus. Okay, I don't want anyone coming up to me with their hat in hand and think that I have got some great revelations for their life. I do not. Okay, I am just a writer. That's all. Another writer. Okay, and I'm it puts me off going out on book events when people start lining up just to touch me. Forget that.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
let's not go there. I don't want to go there. Just come up, shake my hand, and I'm glad to meet you.
Hey, you told me in an email you just had a book signing and you did really well, huh?
Yeah, that's the way I know it was really well. She wanted the book, and I went out to look for him. I went, God, I went to finish a book last night. I went, damn, $300. Holy, in a day. No wonder my hand was bothering me so much. But what it is I start signing these things, and people are talking to me at the same time, and time just disappears. The sun goes up, the sun comes down, the thing's over it, and the managers are coming on. Okay, you guys got to leave now.
Uh huh.
So they're gone. So that's the way that works, and it's just an endless. I mean, when people used to ask me all, the emails went from with the Return of the Dark Side. My child disappeared for 3 days with your book. That was the most common email.
Really?
Right. I mean, people really love Luke Carter, Return of the Dark Side. I mean, it hits that 8 to 18-year-old audience really, really well. And, you got grandparents buying it for their grandchildren to give them at Christmas time.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still going through 10,000 a year.
Wow.
But it went from that to people coming up to me with tears in their eyes going, I can't believe I get to meet you. I was looking at him and go, why? Well, you mentioned John. You shook his hand. Only because I had to.
Yeah, there was no getting away from it, right?
Yeah. Don't let this get away from you, folks. I mean, we're all involved in an evolution. We're all going in that direction, and it's going to be a couple of generations yet. But don't get scared. Don't be scared, and don't. And I'm not Jesus. Don't come up to me like I am. Okay, I'm not going to bless you or anything.
If they only knew the after effects of you meeting John.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fun meeting an extraterrestrial. The close encounter of the third kind. It's no fun there. It's not a party. Okay, we weren't sitting down doing shots or anything like that. Okay, that didn't happen.
returnofthedarkside.com. That's returnofthedarkside.com. Ladies and gentlemen, get this book. My goodness. We've got it up on our show page, Duflicky, and I think we've got the website up there. I'll have to check again, but if it's not, I'll make sure it gets up there. AJ, this has been a delight. Listen, buddy, you've got to come back again sometime. Will you do that for me?
Sure. I mean, I actually put in an order for books, so I'll send you one, and I'm sure you're going to come up with a whole list of questions. And
oh yes.
I'll be happy to. Oh yeah. You haven't even come close, my friend. You just have no idea.
I can imagine. I'm so anxious to sit down and read that puppy. My goodness.
The national broadcast guy, what's his name? Smith. I can't think of his first name. Well, isn't that terrible? He had me on for 3 hours. Well, actually, he had me on 2 hours one time, then he finally got the book, and he had me on for 3 hours.
That's the way it's going to be around here probably.
And he still had more questions, but he's doing actual broadcast time, and so he can't do whatever he wants.
Well, that's probably the way it's going to be around here. Send me that book, my friend.
I will send it to you.
And I'm going to plop my hiney down, and I'm going to get into it, because I put somewhere when I was spreading this around, this will literally blow you away. I have been blown away, in a good way. I mean, I'm charged. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I'm charged, AJ. I'm charged.
Okay.
Send me that book, buddy.
I'm glad you're happy with it, but sometimes when you hit people over the head with the truth, they don't want to hear it.
I know. My wife's been hitting me over the head for 45 years with the truth, and I still don't want to hear it. But
yeah, I read that on your website. And my first reaction was to being married for 45 years is that, I don't actually want to do something that feels good for 45 years.
I always tell her, if I was married to me, I still wouldn't be married to me. But, and I also tell her, if you ever leave me, I'm going with you, because
actually, it is a curse then.
yeah, because I'm spoiled and I'm completely helpless and I can't do anything for myself unless she does it for me. But
sound like every other former Marine I've met.
Oh, AJ, thank you for your service, buddy.
Okie dokie.
And we'll stay in touch, and I want you to come back again.
I will.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, was that fun? Oh, was that fun? I'll be back in, I'll be back in 30 seconds. Woo! Cliff Stevens, Don't Do Me No More. Cliff's going to be with us soon. I'm going to get up with him this weekend. We're going to set the date.
Hey girl, that was one long haul. Feel like I swam over Niagara Falls. Oh baby, don't do me no more. Look at what you done, honey, don't do me no more. You know I jump to the left, jump to the right, jump in the lake if they would make it right. Oh no, don't you do me no more. Look what I become, honey, don't do me no more. Your kind of woman makes it so hard. I can't say no when you come on with your charm. I'm drawn to you like a moth to a flame, but if I get too close, I get burned again. what you done, honey, don't you do me no more.
Don't Do Me No More, Cliff Stevens. Hey, and we're going to have Cliff on with us. Well, it's Friday night. You go ahead and cheer. Go ahead with your bad self, Isaac. All right, we're going to have Cliff with us, and we're going to have him on live in the chair all the way from Morocco. You heard me right. Cliff Stevens is going to be with us all the way from Morocco. Isn't that amazing? This modern technology. Oh, it just blows me away. I want to say thank you to AJ, if I can say it right, Ensor, Ensor. And AJ wrote the book, The Human Quantum Leap, Confessions of a Former Intelligence Operative. We are most definitely not alone in the universe. Wow. And get that book. I mean, get it. Go to his website, returnofthedarkside.com. There you'll see his other book, plus you'll see The Human Quantum Leap. Get that. Get that book. Oh, my goodness gracious. And like he said, we didn't even dent this thing. We didn't even get started. I can't wait till my book comes. I really can't. I can't wait till my book comes and I can sit down and read all about it. If it blew you away, or if it blew you away, you're listening live. If it blew you away, it blew me away. It blew my socks off. I tell you what, it caused me to get up. I was scrooched out on the edge of the chair before we got started, but it wasn't long. We got into this thing. I stood up, and I stayed stood, and I stayed stood up. Try that several times. I stayed stood up during the rest of AJ's chat with us. Wow, you've never heard anything like that before. And listen, it's not fiction. That is not a book of fiction. You've never heard anything like that before. Wow. So get that book, The Human Quantum Leap by A.J. Ensor. And just go to that website. Let me give it to you one more time, returnofthedarkside.com. And I thank you, A.J., for coming and being with us. And he's going to come back, and we'll have another even better time. On Wednesday night, we had with us Bob Schroeder from up there in Massachusetts, and just as the show got going real good, and we were getting into that UFO stuff, all of a sudden, crack, bang, boom, and the lights went out, and we lost it all. So, if you see the show that's up there, what is it? Something about Out of This World or whatever. If you see that, 28 minutes and I think 11 seconds or whatever it is, 28 minutes and so many seconds, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. The lights went out. The power went down. And we were talking I was talking to him on a cell phone, and he said maybe we made the aliens mad. I don't know. But I know that there was a couple thousand people here in our area without any electricity for a couple hours or more. And we're going to have Bob back Thursday night. So mark that down. This coming Thursday night, whatever date that is. Where's my little gizmo? Let's see what it is here. Thursday. Thursday, the 21st. The 21st. We are going to have Mr. Bob Schroeder with us again, and we're going to try this again. Tonight we was talking about some heavy stuff, and the lights stayed on. I'm not saying won't go out later, but at least now they're on. And so we're going to have Mr. Bob Schroeder back with us next Thursday night. Monday night we're going to have a fella by the name of Stuart Venier, and we're going to be talking about Benghazi. We all need to know more about Benghazi. Has it been swept under the rug? Are people trying to move on without answering questions? We're going to find out Monday night. Stuart Venier. Tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Tune in for another episode of Unshackled. Tomorrow night, we're going to be playing the story of Kevin Hemang. I can't say it right. Kevin Hemang. On Tuesday night, when we launched the official, what's it called? The grand open, the ribbon cutting, the launch show, whatever it might be called. When we launched it on Tuesday night, officially, we played Betty Hemag's story. Saturday, tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we're going to be playing Kevin Hemag. That's husband and wife. You are going to be thrilled when you listen to Kevin's story. So tune in tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I talked with Kevin on the telephone the other day. We talked for quite some time. And I'm telling you, he is just bubbly. He's one of them bubbly individuals. And not only that, on February 25th, that's a week from this coming Monday, him and Betty will be on the show together. And they will be telling us what has transpired in their life since you heard their stories on Unshackled. So tomorrow night, tune in for Kevin's story, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then on the 25th, Betty and Kevin will be with us in the chair, live, here on the George Espinlaub Show. Oh, my. We got some good things going on. Hey, listen, tell a friend. Tell a friend about tonight's show, and tell a friend about tomorrow night's show. And Sunday morning at 7 a.m. we'll be playing another episode of Unshackled. It is the longest-running dramatization radio show in history. Pacific Garden Mission has been doing this since 1950. And Pacific Garden Mission has been around and in operation since 1877. That's much longer than I've been here, and I know it's longer than you've been here. So, tune in with us tomorrow night, and then again Sunday morning for Unshackled. Boy, oh boy. Cliff Stevens, don't walk away. And remember, Cliff's going to be with us from Morocco.
Drive a car that's been bought brand new, but it don't mean nothing if I don't have you. I don't care what you've been doing, I don't care who you've been loving. I just came out today to tell you, baby, don't walk away. Straight A student back in high school, but what you're concerned
Oh, you gotta love Fred. You just gotta love Fred, don't you? I'm telling you what. Oh, my goodness gracious, Aunt Sally. Hey, wow. You know, the other night when the lights went out all of a sudden, I mean, it was like, Mr. Schrader and I was talking, and the listeners was listening, and it was going out through cyberspace around the world and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden, the lights flickered, and then boom, it was gone. And I thought, oh no. So if you listen to Wednesday night's show, and all of a sudden we were gone, and you're looking at your listening device like, what happened? It wasn't you. It was on this end. I mean, we lost power, connection to the network, the whole 9 yards. We went down and we were out. So tune in on Thursday night. Mr. Schrader will be back, and we'll try to get this thing done the next time. Boy, we sure did have us a good time tonight. I mean, I don't know about you, but I get excited about this stuff, and I know I say it most every night. I say it at least 4 or 5 times a week. But we have incredible guests that's on the George Espinlove Show. And we like to let them come and voice whatever it is their passion is about. Whether they've written a book or, climbed a mountain or went into the depths of the sea or was miraculously healed or whatever it might be. We like to have the people come and spend time with us so that our audience can get to know them, listen to what they have to say, and then we can make up our own minds. Remember, there's only 3 kinds of people that I know of. People that will believe everything that they hear. Then you have the people that will believe some of the stuff, but not all the stuff. And then you have the third kind, they just don't believe anything. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's you, that's cool. But we all fit under that one of those 3 categories. Where do you fit? Tonight, man, tonight just blew me away. I don't know about you, but it just blew me away. We've got some great guests lined up. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Unshackled, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here on the Spreaker Network. And then again Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Oh, it has been a delight. I'm so glad that we can come and we can have this time together. That sounds like an old Carol Burnett thing. I'm so glad we had this time together. Go ahead and laugh. I don't care. But that's what they used to sing. I'm so glad we had this time together. Whatever. Hey, email me, georgece@comcast.net. georgece@comcast.net. Follow me on Twitter. I don't have the foggiest idea where I'm going, but you can follow me anyhow. Okay? It's at PopPop. At PopPop. POPX7. At PopUpX7. Come to the Facebook page and we'll hook up and become friends, and you can follow us and do all that kind of stuff that we're doing out there in cyberspace. Hey, there's a whole lot of love that comes to you from the Funny Farm. We mean that. So one more time, email us, georgece@comcast.net, georgece@comcast.net. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, To all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around this great big world, I thank you for tuning in to the George Espinlove Show tonight. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow night when we have another episode of Unshackled, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here on the Spreaker Network. Wherever you're at, if it's nighttime, you have a very good night. If it's already daytime where you're at, you have a real great day. But regardless of where you are and what it is, till tomorrow night, this is George Espinlove saying, thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. God bless you.